What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back. Today, guys, we got another pre-order window opening from EXO-6, and of course, we're talking about Captain Christopher Pike from Star Trek, Strange New Worlds. Now, I get it, this might not be the Pike for you, and some folks have loved the show and could not wait to get this figure in hand. So I'm excited to talk a little bit about my thoughts on the figure, but I've also got some thoughts on the pricing. So guys, stick around. If you guys like the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, and let's get into it.
I give you Ben Thomas Showtime. Here we go.
Okay guys, welcome back. So I'm going to do it a little differently today. Normally I do the slides with the voiceover in the background, but I wanted you guys to see my face today when I give you my reaction to this particular figure. But not because of the figure specifically, because I'm starting to feel like I'm going a little crazy. I've been covering EXO-6 figures for a while now. Typically I do these for every pre-order. Do you ever have that feeling like you're going insane? Like you keep saying the same things over and over again, expecting them to change, and then they never do. One of the criticisms I need to address right out of the gate before I get into my thoughts and positive feelings on what I'm seeing are these photos. Once again, we are seeing blurry photo after blurry photo after Photoshop after blurry photo after Photoshop, and it's driving me nuts. A few weeks ago, we saw Anthony's photos from 6 Scale Mafia of the B'Elanna Torres figure. They were clean, they were crispy, you could see what you're buying. These do not help sell this figure. Period. They just don't. It's like McDonald's. Think about it. They have professional photographers take pictures of their Big Macs. Because when you think Big Mac, you think of those, you know, triple stack burgers and the bread in between and the lettuce that's all like lovingly falling out of the bun, right? Then when you get your Big Mac sandwich and you open the box, it's all smushed and looks like hell. Professional photography sells products. If you are going to continue to solicit figures at this price point, get better pictures. That's all I'll have to say about that. What I have to say that is good, because there's a few things here, guys, so I apologize for my negative criticism right out of the gate, but I had to get that out of my system. I'm really liking what I'm seeing here. This definitely looks like Anson Mount, the actor. I think one of the strongest aspects of EXO-6, from the figures that I own and also the figures that I review, are the material choices that they make for the outfits are fantastic. The cut and sew, I think, are really good. The coloration of the outfit, I'm really loving. I feel like it's an absolute great representation of the character from the show. I've really enjoyed the show, and this character specifically, this Captain Pike, has really grown on me. He's a badass, and he shows it. The uniform is also a little bit square in the shoulders in the show. So that is also accurate, and I like that. That's not a cut and sew or fit issue for me by any stretch. To me, that looks just right. Now, when it comes to EXO-6, we've also talked a lot about on this channel how it seems like they have kind of an A, B, C, and D team. I say always that the Voyager team likely got the D team. They're good, but they're not great. Then we've seen some figures solicited, like the Picard Season 3 figures, for example, that look phenomenal. I just got Locutus of Borg in my collection yesterday. I'm loving that figure. This, I would say, is at least the A or B team. I do think the likeness is there, and I think they did a good job. I think the paint applications in the hair make it look like real hair, honestly. Like, you can see the different coloration in the swoop. I think that looks really cool. And Anson himself is getting pretty jacked as a dude, so I think that they captured his stature really well here. Now, let's take a look in terms of the price point. So the pre-order end date here is November 21st, 2023. The estimated delivery for this is already saying early second quarter of 2024. So within the next, 6 months, call it. That's pretty fast, I will say. It's coming in though at $225 plus a $25 flat rate shipping. Now, I've had a few of you reach out to me and say, Ben, that feels a little expensive, don't you agree? This feels like a relatively standard release. And while I would agree that figures when I first started reviewing EXO-6 were in the 180 range, inflation is a thing, for sure. I also think EXO-6 isn't stupid. I think that they're seeing that other 1/6 scale companies, prices are going up. And in order to make more money as a company, they're doing the same. This week, I talked a little bit about the McCready figure from Mondo Toys. I think this has better paint applications and better likeness than that Mondo figure does. And that Mondo figure came in at $265, which in my opinion was $20 more expensive than it should have been at the highest price point. This is now $20 more expensive than I think it should be at the highest price point. Inflation, competitive markets, and seeing what your competition is doing and how they're pricing their figures will mean a change. But I also recognize that if EXO-6 continues to increase the price, it will make these figures less accessible for the average collector. Or it'll make it less accessible for not even the average collector, but the collector who wants to collect all of the figures that they make from all of the different lines. The more expensive it gets, the harder it is to justify. It's a tough nut to swallow, as one would say on the Ben Thomas Show. So, is it making sense? Well, let's see what the figure actually comes with here. So the boots, plastic boots sculpted to match the cut and style of the original footwear. Does not look like a split cut design. It looks like a solid boot, which in my experience has made figure posing a little more difficult. You get the hexagonal display base, which again, they've probably made 1,000 of these. So while I'm happy that they're uniform bases for your lines, I don't think we're ever going to get anything different there. So once again, we're seeing a bit of a recycling of accessories. Now, we do get the Federation Type 2 phaser with a removable Type 1 phaser, which I do think is actually pretty cool. I like the removable aspect. It does come with a belt and phaser holster, which is an additional accessory over some of the standard releases, but some of those standard releases actually had like the magnetic section, which I think is cooler, although that's not really the design of this figure. So I get it. I appreciate it. It does come with the Federation Phaser rifle, which I do think is also pretty cool. And it does have multiple hands for posing, it says here. But that's pretty much it. With all of what you see here on the screen, the new accessories, I do really like the communicator. I think that looks actually pretty sweet. I think the belt will deteriorate and fall apart in almost no time, especially if you're in a humid condition. So be really careful, tweaking that and messing around with it. I do really like the phaser rifle. I think that looks really cool, and I do like the Type 2 phaser with the small Phase 1 phaser. I think that also is pretty sweet. But guys, $225 with $25 flat rate shipping from EXO-6. You're looking at $250 for this figure. If that's going to kind of indicate what we're going to see for the rest of this line, this is likely going to end up being a pretty expensive line for Star Trek collectors. So for me, I've enjoyed Strange New Worlds, but I wouldn't say that it's my favorite. I'm still holding out for more of the next generation figures, like I always say on virtually all of the videos that I make on this. That's where I'm really holding out, and I've seen that people said they'd be interested, but the price is just creeping up there to the point where it's feeling a little bit like maybe I can skip it. Maybe I can skip it this time. Maybe I don't need this line. And EXO-6, that is not something you want your collector community saying to each other. But also, you gotta get better pictures. If this looked better in photos, it would be so much easier to sell to me, for me to talk about to the community, for people to feel sold based on my reaction, all of the things. Like, it would be better if you had better photos. So, guys, for $225 plus 25 ship rate, I think it's pretty solid. It's still cheaper than most 6 scale figures out there. If you've loved Strange New Worlds, maybe this show is your introduction to Star Trek. Depending on your age, it's absolutely possible. This might be the figure you've been waiting for. Maybe you have a captain's collection, so you're excited to get another captain in your display. There's a lot to be excited about here, guys. And I'm happy to see that EXO-6 honestly hasn't gone out of business, and that they're still making figures, and that we're still receiving them, and that overall, I'd say that the community is relatively positive about what they're receiving. There is some criticisms on the ABCD team that clearly exist. There's varying levels of quality that we see between each release, it seems like. But I would say that on the whole, it's pretty good. So guys, I pose the question back to you. What are your thoughts on Anson Mount's Captain Christopher Pike from Star Trek: The Strange New Worlds? Are you picking it up? Yes, no, why not? I want to hear from you guys in the comments below, as is tradition. And of course, guys, with that said, if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, definitely subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the like button if you can, it just drives some traffic to the video. And I will catch you guys on the next figure preview video, of course, for Star Trek and EXO-6. Thanks for watching, everybody.